When director Paul Verhoeven walked onto the shower scene set in 1996, he didn't give a speech about art. He stripped completely naked in front of 40 crew members and his entire cast. According to Casper Van Dien in later interviews, Verhoeven said if he was asking actors to be vulnerable. Look at the background extras in that scene. Their discomfort isn't acting, it's genuine shock from the first take. And here's the thing, Sony had no idea they were funding one of the most subversive satires ever made. These are Starship Troopers, 1997. 20 hidden details you completely missed. Number 1, the satire nobody caught. Most people remember Starship Troopers as a flashy sci-fi action movie with killer bugs and beautiful people. But here's what the studio completely missed. Paul Verhoeven was making a $100 million anti-fascist parody right under their noses. I wanted to do something subversive. Verhoeven admitted in his DVD commentary of I Know Godot, make a fascist movie and see if audiences would cheer. Watch the Federal Network broadcast carefully. They're shot-for-shot recreations of Leni Riefenstahl's Triumph of the Will. Same angles, same crowd dynamics, same heroic framing. The satire was hiding in plain sight, and almost nobody caught it in 1997. Critics dismissed the film as mindless action. Audiences cheered the violence without questioning it. Verhoeven had pulled off the ultimate trick. He made propaganda about propaganda, and nobody realized they were the test subjects. Number 2, the 100 million trick. Sony executives genuinely believed they were getting an Independence Day competitor. Marketing materials positioned the film as a straightforward alien invasion blockbuster. Verhoeven never corrected them. According to screenwriter Ed Neumeyer in a 2012 interview, "We didn't exactly lie to the studio, we just didn't explain. The Federation's eagle symbol tells the whole story. Look at it during the enlistment scenes. It's a deliberate Third Reich reference that nobody in marketing questioned." When the film premiered, executives reportedly sat in stunned silence. They'd spent $105 million on a movie mocking militarism, and they'd marketed it to the exact audience being satirized. The posters even used propaganda-style typography. Sony had accidentally created the most expensive piece of subversive art in Hollywood history. They just didn't know it until opening night. Number 3, the casting inversion. The casting wasn't random. It was weaponized satire designed to make audiences uncomfortable without knowing why. Verhoeven specifically wanted actors who looked like they belonged in German recruitment posters. Casper Van Dien's square jaw, Denise Richards' all-American smile, Dina Meyer's athletic perfection. According to casting director Rob Legato, these choices were deliberate. Paul kept saying Beverly Hills 90210 meets the Third Reich, Legato recalled in interviews. Freeze frame on any group shot of recruits. Notice how homogeneous they look. No physical diversity, no imperfection, no deviation from the ideal. That wasn't Hollywood's usual beauty bias at work. It was Verhoeven constructing a visual argument about fascist aesthetics that most viewers absorbed without ever questioning. The pretty faces were the point. They made the ideology palatable. They made audiences root for characters they should have feared. Number 4, the violence test. The original cut of Starship Troopers was rated NC-17. The MPAA rejected it 17 times before granting an R rating. Editor Mark Goldblatt described the process in a 2008 retrospective. We'd cut 2 seconds, submit again, get rejected again. The brain bug sequence originally showed extended feeding, the creature's proboscis entering the skull, all removed. The Klendathu drop contained more graphic dismemberment, gone. But here's the strange result that nobody anticipated. Each cut made the violence feel faster, more casual, almost fun. The censorship accidentally enhanced Verhoeven's satire in ways he never planned. Violence became entertainment, death became spectacle. Watch how quickly soldiers die in the final cut. That rhythm was created in the editing room, not the script. The MPAA inadvertently made the film's point stronger. Number 5, the Klendathu drop disaster. The Klendathu drop cost $3 million for 2 minutes of footage and nearly ended in disaster. Real pyrotechnics were used for the ground explosions because digital enhancement wasn't advanced enough in 1996. According to stunt coordinator John Epstein, 3 extras required medical attention during filming. When soldiers stumble at roughly the 47-minute mark tells the real story. That's a real fall from an actual explosion that went bigger than planned. Verhoeven kept it in the final cut. It looked real because it was real, he noted in commentary. The sequence required 500 extras, 47 stunt performers, and 12 shooting days. When Sony saw the dailies, they demanded 30% fewer bug shots to control costs. The studio wanted spectacle but didn't want to pay for safety. The chaos on screen reflected the chaos behind the cameras. Number 6, Doogie Howser was deliberate. Neil Patrick Harris's leather trench coat wasn't a coincidence or a random wardrobe choice. Costume designer Ellen Maroynick specifically referenced Heinrich Himmler's SS uniforms when creating his final act wardrobe. "We wanted Carl to look like he belonged in 1940 1940s Berlin, she explained in an interview. The character goes from nerdy student to psychic military intelligence officer, and his costume tracks that transformation into fascist iconography. Compare his final uniform to historical photos of SS officers. The silhouette is nearly identical in every detail. Harris reportedly understood exactly what Verhoeven was doing with the character. His performance becomes increasingly sinister as his costumes become more overtly authoritarian. The clothes tell the story that the dialogue never explicitly states. Watch Carl's wardrobe progression throughout the film. By the end, he's dressed like the villain of a World War II movie. Number 7. The Heinlein Problem. Robert Heinlein's estate was furious when they saw the finished film. The original novel is genuinely pro-military, a sincere defense of civic duty through service that readers had loved for decades. Verhoeven admitted in multiple interviews that he never finished reading it. He found it too boring and reportedly too close to fascist ideology for his comfort. Ed Neumeier essentially gutted the book's philosophy and inverted everything it stood for. I kept the names and the bugs, Neumeier said. Everything else I flipped. The transformation happened without studio awareness or approval. Sony thought they were adapting a beloved military sci-fi classic with a built-in fan base. They got a $100 million critique of everything that book represented. The source material became the target. Heinlein's earnest militarism became Verhoeven's satirical ammunition against militarism itself. Number 8. The Bug Budget Crisis. Phil Tippett's effects team invented techniques that didn't exist before this movie. Each warrior bug required approximately $500,000 in rendering costs using 1996 technology. The production used a hybrid system combining CGI creatures interacting with practical animatronic elements. But mid-production, Sony demanded 50% fewer bugs to control the ballooning budget. Tippett had to get creative with limited resources. Watch the wide shots during battle sequences carefully. His solution was elegant but visible if you know what to look for. The same 5 bug animation cycles were rotated, scaled, and mirrored throughout the film. We had maybe 12 distinct bug movements total. Tippett admitted in a studio documentary, the repetition is there in every battle scene. Budget constraints forced innovation. What looks like thousands of unique creatures is actually the same handful of animations cleverly disguised. Number 9. The death scenes. Jake Busey actually plays violin in real life. That wasn't a double or a prop performance in the film. He'd been playing since childhood and insisted on performing himself. His death scene, however, took 14 takes because the squib effects kept malfunctioning. Blood packs are not reliable technology. Busey joked at a convention appearance years later. Look closely at the blood splatter pattern across different cuts in the scene. It varies slightly because each take produced different spray patterns. The inconsistency made it into the final edit. Editor Mark Goldblatt reportedly chose the most emotionally effective take over continuity. That's real fake blood hitting Busey's actual violin skills in a scene that kept going wrong. The imperfection stayed because perfection would have felt less authentic. Sometimes the best movie magic is embracing the mistakes. Number 10. The shower scene psychology. The shower scene wasn't about intimate meaning. It was Verhoeven testing whether American audiences would accept his satire without recognizing it. By making the nudity co-ed and completely neutered, he was mimicking how fascist regimes depicted the body, the human form as a tool of the state, stripped of individual desire. There's no romantic eye contact, Dina Meyer noted in interviews. We were directed to be soldiers, not lovers. After Verhoeven stripped naked himself, the cast followed his lead without further objection. The scene shot in one day. Watch the actor's body language carefully. Military posture, not Hollywood seduction. No flirtation, no chemistry, just bodies in formation. The frame composition mimics German-era physical culture photography. The scene looks transgressive, but actually shows conformity. That was the point all along. Number 11. Buenos Aires was real. The Buenos Aires destruction sequence contains footage from a real building implosion. VFX supervisor Phil Tippett's team composed the 1995 St. Louis Stadium demolition into the attack sequence. The miniature cityscape was combined with this actual collapse footage to create the asteroid impact. Pause during the destruction and look carefully. The stadium's distinctive curved structure is briefly visible if you know what you're looking for. Dirtios. We used everything we could get, Tippett explained in a making-of interview. Digital tools weren't powerful enough in 1996 to create fully synthetic destruction at that scale. Reality was cheaper than CGI. The production scavenged real disaster footage because creating fake disaster footage cost too much. That's actual architecture falling in a fictional alien attack. Hollywood recycling at its most creative and cost-effective. effective. Number 12. The Brain Bug Secret. The Brain Bug puppet cost $1.2 million and required 12 puppeteers operating simultaneously. K&B EFX Group built it as a fully practical creature with no CGI enhancement in most shots. According to crew interviews, the lip and mouth mechanisms were actually recycled molds originally created for Jabba the Hutt's palace creatures in Return of the Jedi. The Star Wars universe literally became part of the Bug War. The puppeteers worked from beneath a raised platform, their arms inserted into the creature's various appendages. It was like operating a very expensive, very disgusting pipe organ. One crew member recalled, "The Brain Bug's final close-up is all practical, all terrifying, all puppetry. No computer enhancement, just 12 people moving rubber and silicone in perfect coordination. The most disturbing creature in the film was also the most handmade." Number 13. The flag problem. The Federation flag was banned in Germany. The combination of eagle imagery and geometric design struck too close to German symbolism for censors. The theatrical release in Germany required modifications to advertising materials. Freeze frame during the enlistment scene and count the eagles. Throughout the frame, they're everywhere. On flags, on podiums, on uniforms, on buildings. This wasn't accidental set decoration. According to production designer Alan Cameron, Verhoeven requested eagles on everything. He wanted the imagery overwhelming and inescapable. The satire was so effective that Germany's film board treated it as potentially dangerous propaganda imagery. Verhoeven had made his point so well that authorities couldn't tell the difference between mocking fascism and promoting it. Number 14. Michael Ironside's ad-libs. Michael Ironside improvised some of his most memorable lines in the film. They sucked his brains out, delivered after discovering a dead soldier, wasn't scripted. Ironside found it in the moment. He also specifically requested his character lose an arm earlier in the film than originally planned. According to his commentary track, he wanted Lieutenant Raskjak to embody the physical cost of the military ideology he preached. The character should bear visible scars of his beliefs. During the amputation scene, watch his face closely. The grimace is partially real. The prosthetic malfunctioned during the take, pinching his actual arm. Verhoeven kept the shot in the final cut. Authentic pain reads better than performed pain. Ironside's real discomfort became his character's fictional sacrifice. The line between actor and role blurred in that moment. Number 15. The tanker bug fire accident. The tanker bug fire sequence nearly unalived 3 stunt performers. Real flames were used for the explosion effects because the technology for digital fire wasn't convincing enough in 1996. Stunt coordinator John Epstein described the scene as controlled chaos that briefly became uncontrolled. Heat levels exceeded safety parameters during one take. Look at Casper Van Dien in scenes immediately following the tanker bug fight. His eyebrows appear slightly different. According to set reports, he actually singed them during filming, and makeup had to compensate for the damage. The production schedule didn't allow for healing time. The injury stayed visible if you know where to look. Van Dien's face tells the story of a production that pushed boundaries and occasionally pushed too far. The danger on screen was sometimes real danger. Number 16. Dizzy's death was reshuffled. Dizzy Flores was supposed to survive. Dina Meyer's character originally lived through the entire film and stood beside Rico at the end. Test audiences changed everything. According to Meyer in later interviews, preview screenings indicated audiences wanted more emotional impact. That's studio code for more death. Her death scene was added during reshoots. "I found out from my agent, not the director," Meyer said about learning her character's fate had changed. Look at early promotional materials. Dizzy appears in final battle footage that never made the theatrical cut. The original ending had her alongside Rico during the victory celebration. Test audiences voted her off the movie through their feedback cards. The focus groups wanted tragedy, so they got tragedy. A character who survived the script didn't survive the test screenings. Number 17. The fleet is just 4 ships. Every fleet shot in Starship Troopers uses the same 4 ship models. Watch the massive fleet assembly sequences and look for the trick. Sony's VFX breakdown reveals how it was done. The same 4 CGI vessels were rotated, rescaled, and mirror composited to create the illusion of hundreds of ships. Budget constraints forced creative solutions. "We couldn't afford unique ships," a VFX supervisor admitted in production materials. Look for the repetition during fleet pan shots. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. The identical ships circle each other at different scales, creating false variety. Hollywood magic is often Hollywood math. Multiply 4 by clever positioning and audiences see an armada. The grandest space battles ever filmed were an illusion. built on repetition and camera tricks. 4 ships became infinity. Number 18, Verhoeven's cutscene. A deleted sequence showed human generals ordering the extermination of bug civilians, non-combatant bugs, smaller and clearly non-threatening, executed by Federation forces. According to Ed Neumeyer, whose script notes leaked in 2005, Verhoeven shot the sequence, but Sony refused to include it. It was too on the nose. The satire became text rather than subtext and made the studio uncomfortable. With that scene, audiences might have questioned who the real villains were. Without it, the bugs remain monstrous, and audiences comfortably cheer their destruction without guilt. The removal arguably undermined Verhoeven's point about propaganda, or maybe it made his point more insidiously. The studio accidentally proved his thesis about how audiences accept violence when it's packaged correctly. They censored the scene that would have made viewers think. Number 19, the box office. Failure myth. Starship Troopers was never actually a flop. Box office records show $121 million worldwide against a $105 million budget. Not a blockbuster, but profitable. The failure narrative came from Sony's embarrassment over the film's critical reception. American reviewers largely missed the satire and dismissed it as dumb action schlock. European audiences understood immediately. German, Dutch, and French critics recognized Verhoeven's intentions from opening weekend. Americans took it literally. Verhoeven observed in a retrospective interview, the studio buried a profitable movie because they couldn't market satire to an audience who didn't know they were watching one. The film's reputation recovered only after years of critical reappraisal. What bombed in America became a cult classic everywhere else. The movie's supposed failure was actually a marketing failure. Number 20, The Final Shot Secret. The Final Shot was Verhoeven's thesis statement, hiding in plain sight. Johnny Rico, once an idealistic student, now a scarred military veteran, smiles directly into the camera during a recruitment broadcast. According to Verhoeven's director commentary, he's become the propagandist. He's now the one creating more soldiers to die. Watch that smile, then re-watch the opening recruitment videos. The framing is identical, the expression is identical. Rico has become the system that consumed him. The film ends exactly where it begins. A beautiful person selling beautiful lies to the next generation of cannon fodder. The loop closes, the satire completes itself. Verhoeven bookended his film with the same propaganda technique, showing how heroes become recruiters for the machine that destroys heroes. Rewatch both scenes back to back and you'll never see that smile the same way again. So the next time you watch Starship Troopers, look closer. Every frame contains something the studio didn't want you to notice, something Verhoeven hid in plain sight. The satire. That fooled Sony, the German imagery that got banned in Germany, the deleted scenes that would have changed everything. This wasn't a dumb action movie, it was a $100 million Trojan horse that snuck anti-fascist commentary into multiplexes worldwide. And the wildest part, most audiences still don't realize they cheered for the bad guys. That's not a failure of the film, that's exactly what Verhoeven wanted to prove.